Hello everyone, as promised I'm going to quickly talk about what we should do with a nervous puppy. The puppy's now 14 weeks old, meaning he's got approximately 2 weeks left of his critical socialization period. So the first thing we're going to do is find the point in which our dog gets most nervous. That might be when the front door opens, might be going into our front garden, might be leaving the front door, might be as we hit the street. We're going to then strip it back a little bit, just 5%, go 5% before that point, and start introducing basic commands the puppy might know. That might just be a recall and a sit at that point. If you haven't gone through hand feeding and learning how to build drive for existential food or essential food, that's what you need to look into immediately. Don't start throwing treats at this issue. It's just not going to work. So what we're going to start doing is introducing food exclusively at that point. The puppy starts to get a little bit nervous, not really nervous to the point that they won't take food where they normally would, but introducing food at the point they start to get nervous. So if that's the front door opening, I'm just going to start sit, come, down. If my puppy doesn't know any obedience, which is fine, Stark didn't know any obedience at that point, I'm just feeding, recall, feeding, move, feeding, move, feeding, move, jackpot in the food, utilizing my marker, whether I've used yes or a clicker. So that's the first thing I'm going to look at, is starting to counter condition the puppy outside. What a lot of people do is they bubble wrap their puppy and they only offer the good things in the puppy's safe space, well under threshold, where the puppy is just like in the kitchen, next to you, wherever it might be. Some other things we can start doing is scatter feeding if the dog's food drive is good enough outside. So that's just allowing the puppy to get his head down and thinking about finding that food while the environment is background noise to them. So we can just take a portion of kibble for feeding our puppy 3 or 4 times a day and just scatter feed it out on our front garden, back garden, starting to desensitize the puppy from potentially wind, traffic, yada yada yada. And then thirdly, what I would start doing is playing with the puppy almost exclusively outside. I'm going to make inside really boring with a puppy intentionally. So we're going to have a house line on, place work, lots of crate, and all the good things are going to happen where that puppy is starting to think about entering that state of stress. I want my puppy to grow up with a strong backbone, and I want my puppy to grow up thinking that I can keep his engagement even when there's competing motivators. So for your puppy at the moment, that nervous puppy, it might be the wind, it might be, like I said earlier, traffic, it might be, I don't know, the trees blowing in the window, whatever it may be. Something obviously is unnerving your puppy. So we want to almost compact and compile all of our reinforcement and utilize that almost exclusively in the presence of what is starting to freak our puppy out a little bit. So what I don't want to do is take the puppy, throw him in the deep end and just get him like super scared, try and offer him food. He doesn't take food, I take him home and then I feed him out of a bowl. It's all about incrementally working this. What I don't want to do either is feed the puppy a couple of times in the front garden, then 3rd, 4th meal of the day feed him in a bowl inside. I want to almost keep all of my food, all my excitement, all of my engagement in the presence of that potential trigger, whatever it may be for you and your dog. So I hope that helps. If the puppy refuses to go outside, sometimes a little bit of compulsion never hurts. So I'm going to scoop him up under the belly. I'm going to kind of like bring him out with the lead a little bit. Typically a puppy's going to go then like, oh Jesus, oh, and then calm down, simmer into things, and then be absolutely fine. So it really does depend on your puppy, but for the most part, like I said, food, engagement outside, scatter feeding outside, play outside, all reinforcement motivation comes outside in the presence of the competing motivators. If you really think your puppy is not going to take any of that stuff in the presence of the competing motivator, we take it a step back. That might be working inside with the front door open. It might be working at the threshold of the front door and then just dipping outside and then incrementally making that harder. What we don't want to do is make it really hard for our puppy. We fail and then have to go backwards, because our puppy's just going to learn, if I hold out, if I spook, I don't have to do this and I'm going to get an easy option later on. Hope that helps. Good luck. Let me know somewhere in the academy or even on Instagram if this was helpful, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. See ya!